Ahoy there, matey. I am the pirate, and set sail as 22TigerDude and Kevin Falk will be reviewing each of these Pirates movies. The odds on Kevin's channel and the evens on Tony's channel. So, watch this review or you'll have to walk the plank. Arrgh. No, but seriously, set sail as we go on. Well, we're going on in the adventure. Arrgh. Cue the intro, Arrgh.
Hey guys, coming into the movie for you guys. This is going to be another installment of my Own It Never Falking Seen It reviews, and this video I'm going to be doing is a little bit different than what you are used to for these Own It Never Falking Seen It videos that I've done, because while this is a film that I do own on Blu-ray, it's not going to be randomly selected, because these films weren't randomly selected, actually. This is something that I planned on doing way far in advance. The basic plot of this movie is you got Captain Jack Sparrow, and he basically has it all. You know, he's this very successful captain, you know, on the ship and everything, and it ends up, basically, you know, he's got this, just the idyllic pirate life. You know, he's got a big band of all of these people on his ship, all the crew and things like that, and things are just going great for him. That is until Captain Barbossa comes along, who is his main nemesis here. He actually ends up stealing his ship, the Black Pearl, and he later attacks the town of Port Royal and kidnaps the governor's beautiful daughter, Elizabeth, who Elizabeth has this necklace, and she doesn't exactly know where it came from, but basically he wants to rescue her, and basically he has to rescue her and recapture the Black Pearl. But little does he know, the other big thing going on is that there is basically this curse, and basically there's this cursed treasure that is actually doomed Barbossa and his crew, where they basically are forced to live forever as the undead. So Jack has to in turn get his ship back and also try to find a way to lift this curse, and that's the basic plot of Curse of Black Pearl overall. I will be doing all of these reviews with none other than the Disney file himself, someone who absolutely loves anime movies, 22TigerDude. He will be joining me for all these reviews. And how this is going to work, guys, is I'm going to talk, you know, I'm going to introduce him, then Tony will do his review, then I will do mine. So without further ado, Tony, take it away.
Hey there, everybody, this is 22TigerDude here, and I am here on Kevin Falk's channel to review Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. Thank you so much, Kevin, for bringing me here to review the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. So when it comes to Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, I remember watching this movie very young. I actually remember experiencing this movie on the big screen, and I just remember as a little kid being fascinated watching this film. And I've always enjoyed this movie, but as I've gotten older, I've actually loved this movie. I actually enjoy this movie more than I did as a kid, and I actually really enjoyed it, but I actually love it now as I am older. There is definitely a lot to admire in The Curse of the Black Pearl. And the funny thing is, this is based off of a ride, and who would have known that a movie based on a ride could be, well, such a ride in feature form. This is a goofy movie. No, not goofy like the character, like goofy, like silly. It's really over the top, but they're really self-aware of how over the top it is. And along with them going over the top are also the more dramatic scenes. Now, it's not like the dramatic scenes overtake the over-the-topness, because I know movies do that. It could take you out of the moment. Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, luckily, never really does that, honestly. It knows when to be serious, and then when it's over the top, it blends that over-the-topness very well. And just from how this movie is made too, you really do feel like you're in this world. Nothing about this movie screams that this is a cast on set. You actually feel like you're with actual characters you can latch onto, and you actually feel like you're in this world. The performances from everyone are great. Johnny Depp is absolutely awesome as Captain Jack Sparrow. He does a really good job of playing this over-the-top pirate that likes to drink and all that, but you also see a more serious side to this character that I thought Johnny Depp did a very good job of really showcasing. So for a character that's unlikable, he's likable. You get behind a character that's technically unlikable. Keira Knightley is also really great in this film, and you can actually argue that she is the main character because she is focused a lot. There's actually times where Jack Sparrow, he's pushed to the side just a little bit, not a whole lot. He's definitely in this movie plenty, like he's in the movie enough to where Johnny Depp gets the top billing for sure. But Keira Knightley, I think when it comes to the cast list, she should be billed as the second main character just because she's in this movie a lot. But she's really great, and for her being a damsel in distress, she's actually a very interesting character, and she's proven to be more than just this damsel in distress. I really liked her as Elizabeth, and I also thought Orlando Bloom as Will Turner, he's really great too. You could tell that he's having a lot of fun in this movie. I really love this great screen presence that Orlando brings to the character of Will Turner. He is really likable, and how this movie introduced the romance storyline with Elizabeth and Will, I thought that was great. Their romance is very believable. You could tell that these two really do love each other, and how you see the romance progressing throughout this film, I found to be very interesting. Geoffrey Rush is fantastic as Barbossa. He is a very believable antagonist that holds Elizabeth hostage at the pirate ship, and seeing all the other pirates on the ship was very great too. Zoe Saldana even is in this film too. Honestly, everyone does a great job. There's even supporting characters that were very funny. You know, not only was there a lot of great comedic bits added to the film with the main leads, especially with Captain Jack Sparrow, but there's even supporting characters that actually add plenty of comedy too, and I actually found the supporting characters here to just be so entertaining. Gore Verbinski's direction is fantastic here. As I said, you do feel like you're in this world, and that's thanks to how Gore Verbinski directs this film. From when you see the pirate ship to when you see the island, any kind of location you go on in this film, you really feel like you're there. And the action sequences, it is fantastic. There's no shaky cam. The editing in these action sequences, they cut scene by scene very smoothly, as the action, while it is very over the top, it does work for the kind of movie that Gore Verbinski is creating. He really does such a terrific job here, and I mean the cinematography too. Something that I always have to praise with these movies, and you're gonna pretty much hear me say with the other Pirates movies, the cinematography is just gorgeous. Seriously, it is amazing. I would even say it's some of the best cinematography I've seen in the Disney movie, period. It's so beautiful. The production design is just amazing. The sets, the costumes, all those things are just so fantastic, and I have to give props to the production designers, honestly. They really pulled it off here. And of course, you can't have a Pirates of the Caribbean score without the classic boom 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 boom. Oh, love that score. Every time I hear that score, I just have the biggest smile on my face. Of course, Barbossa's monkey, always love seeing that character too. And for a movie that is a little over 2 hours long, it actually is paced very well. Sure, there may be a couple of scenes that I didn't think were quite as energetic as the others, and that is maybe like the issue I can find with this film. I would just say that there's a couple of scenes that I don't think quite have the energy that the other scenes are, and it's not like I'm necessarily bored, but there's a couple of scenes when Elizabeth is on the pirate ship with Barbossa where I didn't really care for it. Wasn't bored per se, I just wasn't really caring for it. There's also this scene where Elizabeth and Jack Sparrow, they're stuck on this island. Luckily, they're not stuck for too long on this island, but when they were stuck on this island together, I wasn't really caring for it. I didn't really think the comedy comedy worked. I think a little bit of their interaction worked in that scene, but besides that, I wasn't really caring when they were stuck in that island together. But luckily, it wasn't really too long, and that's the thing. Even when there's a certain scene I maybe wasn't too crazy for, they don't go on for too long with this film. They always get to the point in their storytelling, and that's something I do really love about the first film. And the climax too, the climax is a ton of fun. A ton of swordplay and a lot of cheesy over-the-top one-liners, choreography, just everything you need to have an over-the-top but very fun ride.
And something that, I just really loved about this film is how they talk about the Black Pearl. I did like how they explored the Black Pearl and what the Black Pearl does to you, what kind of curse it brings upon. I just found all that stuff about the Black Pearl to be very fascinating.
So overall, I think Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl is a great start to a franchise that I do have a soft spot for. This has everything you want in a summer blockbuster, in an adventure film, and in a Disney film in general. It has great characters, it has great action, great comedic timing, great production design, great score, and just an overall sense of a great adventure. I love this movie. I'm gonna give Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, 3.5 out of 4 stars. So I would love to thank Kevin Falk so much for bringing me here to review The Curse of the Black Pearl, and I will see you guys on my channel when Kevin and I review Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. So Kevin, take it away, and don't forget that I will always have Tiger Power!
Alright guys, so now that Tony is gone, now I will give my review of Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. When I was young, I did watch this movie, but I don't really remember it at all. Like, I was like 5 when I watched it, and I really have not seen ever since, and I figured that obviously I do need to rewatch it, and thank God I did, because damn did I love this movie. I mean, this movie is just so damn entertaining. I really did love The Curse of the Black Pearl. Now, for a movie like this, there are a lot of people in it. However, for this movie, there's not as big as a cast as I assumed. There definitely are a good amount of players here, but I think this is the one that has the least amount of people to really talk about. Now, let's first talk about our main star here, Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Now, this has pretty much been known at this point as his most notable role. Everyone remembers Johnny Depp. Whenever people think of him, immediately they think of this role, and it's understandable because what a great role this really is for me. The second he comes on screen, you just love the guy. He's so charismatic, he's so fun, he's really arrogant at points, and sometimes he can be a bit obnoxious, but they never really indulge themselves too much in that. In fact, this is a character who is supposed to be a little bit stubborn, and who does get himself into a lot of really bad situations, but damn did I have just such a fun time watching him. I mean, he's just such a fun character, and the second he comes on screen, like I said, you just love him. You love everything that he does. Obviously he wants to be a ship captain, and there's not really much more to him than that. At least in this movie, he is definitely more of a ship captain. There isn't really a lot more to his story than that, but I thought overall he did a really good job. I really did love what he did in this movie. Such a big personality, and he's really rootable too. I mean, you really can understand why he wants this ship and things like that, and I thought he really did do a fantastic job here. You kind of feel bad for him as well, because he really is losing everything that he cares about. In a lot of this movie, he does spend, not tortured, but he does spend in prison, and no one is really kind of on his side because Barbossa kind of takes over everything. But I really did love what he did here. I thought he was absolutely fantastic in this role, and he definitely does make this franchise. There's a reason why people immediately think of Captain Jack Sparrow, and if you see this movie, you know absolutely why, and he definitely does warrant that title of really being the sort of like mascot for this series. Even though he is an actual character, he is very well like the main head honcho of this series, and it's very understandable why after watching this film. And then the other big character to really talk about here, while Johnny Depp is in fact the main character, for a while Keira Knightley actually is our main character here as Elizabeth, and I really did like this character of Elizabeth. Now, here's the thing, you can kind of say the same thing for both her and Orlando Bloom, because while I really did enjoy their characters, compared to everyone else, they are the least interesting characters in the entire film. They're basically meant to be like the moral compass and the people that are genuinely good, but I did find myself getting invested in their story. Like I said, Elizabeth Swann, she's meant to... she's just this girl who is getting married to this one guy, and there's this, other guy, there's this, Will Turner is in her life, played by Orlando Bloom, and she doesn't really know what to think of him because of her preconceived notions of pirates and things like that. And you can see that she really is good-natured. Even though she knows that Captain Jack Sparrow is a pirate, she really sees the good in him. And I really did like that with her character. I thought overall she really did do a good job. And she's not just a damsel in distress. She actually does get to kick a lot of ass. And I really did like that with her character. I thought she was very tough. You can tell she knows very well what she wants. And I really did love how well-rounded her character really was. They could have easily made her just a damsel in distress, but they really didn't. They did take the time to establish her character. And I thought overall she definitely did a really great job here. And then Orlando Bloom as Will Turner, I will admit, wasn't as interesting as a character as the movie really makes him out to be, but I did find, again, to get myself very wrapped up in his story. This is someone who Elizabeth meets, she thinks he's a pirate, and there's a lot more to him than that. He's actually not a pirate. He is just an ordinary boy, and we find out more about his story throughout the film, and I thought that their love story was honestly really sweet, and I think it really did contrast very well with the more fun moments of this film, because this is very much a fun film. It's not trying to be anything too, crazy or anything. I'll get into that when we get into the screenplay and all, such, but there is a romance here, and it works really well. You can understand why he really loves her. You can understand why she can't really be with him, because she's, engaged to this other guy, and I thought their romance was just very well executed. I really did love the romance that they had here, and I thought overall they were very good, regular human characters. There's really nothing too extraordinary about them, but that's kind of what they're supposed to be. They're kind of in this, they're ordinary, but they're in this extraordinary situation, and I really did love the way the film portrayed that. They're supposed to be like the ordinary ones, and I thought that was very well shown here. However, someone that I really have to talk about that I honestly thought stole the entire film, as good as Johnny Depp really was, Geoffrey Rush makes this entire damn movie. Holy shit, Barbossa. I loved everything about this character. I mean, he was fantastic. So menacing, so powerful, but I really did love everything about his character. And the rivalry he has with Jack Sparrow, you honestly can really understand why he does kind of, envy him, because Jack Sparrow has it all, and you can tell that things really have not gone well for Barbossa because of things that Jack Sparrow has done, so you can understand why he has that revenge. But any scene he has in this movie, particularly ones with Keira Knightley, he just chews up all of the scenery perfectly, and I really did love what he did here. He was just incredible to watch in this movie, and he really does make a very compelling villain, especially when you find out what's really going on with him, with the whole, curse situation and everything. I really did get interested in his character. I honestly really did kind of feel bad for him, and I thought the movie did a really good job with getting us to sympathize with the villain, but also simultaneously, want to root for Jack. We're not necessarily rooting for Barbossa, but we can tell why he has such a hatred for Jack, and I think that was definitely very well portrayed here. And again, it really does very well set up the eventual conflict between these two as the film does go on. And then the only other person I really do want to talk about, because I genuinely thought he was great, was Jack Davenport in this movie. Jack Davenport comes in, and he is Elizabeth's, said to be fiance. Like, he clearly does want to marry her, but you can tell that she really doesn't want much to do with him. She's kind of just in it, to just so he will help her out, but he actually goes through a really interesting arc, where you see him in the beginning of the film, he absolutely hates pirates. I mean, he thinks of these pirates as these greedy savages who have no soul whatsoever and just want to do whatever they can and, just brutalize them, and, he wants to make them suffer, and obviously he sees Elizabeth as very pure in that way, and even Will, he does see as a very savage pirate. But as the film goes on, he really does start to soften, and they really did do a great job with developing his character. Through a lot of the film, I didn't think he was that likable, but I thought as the movie went on, he really did get better and better, and Davenport really did a great job with the time he had here. I think, again, they easily could have made him just like the douchey, fiance. They could have easily made him like sort of like a Cal character from Titanic. I thought that's kind of what he was gonna be, and I love that character. I think that character, is great for that film. But I like that they did try to develop him more. I thought overall he was really great here. I really did love what he had to do here. I thought overall he was definitely, again, he doesn't really get praised a lot, but he was really fantastic. I really did love what he had to do in this film. And then the only person to really talk about that I actually really did love, the two I don't know what you really want to call them, but the soldiers, like the British soldiers that we kept seeing throughout the movie, that would sometimes just jokingly, say things to Jack, or in the beginning of the film, they were just absolutely hilarious. I thought they actually had some of the funniest scenes in the entire film, and I wish we got more of them, because I really did love what we got from them, honestly, and I'm glad that they did use them a lot throughout the film. They were just a lot of fun to watch. I don't know what their names were, but they were just a lot of fun, and as a whole, this cast did a really great job. You could tell they all really got into their roles, and that really does help this film as a whole. So now let's get to the directing and the screenplay for this film, because the directing here by Gore Verbinski is fantastic. What I love about his directing is that he could have easily gone in a ultra dark direction with this film. In fact, when this film was first announced, everyone thought it was going to bomb, and it's understandable why. I mean, up to this point, Disney was making a lot of films about theme parks, and they were all pretty terrible. I mean, The Haunted Mansion, that movie is pretty bad, and a lot of people thought this was going to be another lame attempt at just trying to cash in and get people to come to Disney World, and this was anything but that. In fact, this really does stick out on its own. And when people think of Pirates of the Caribbean, this is not what they think of. They don't think of those, rides. Obviously, there's a ride at Disney World, but people really do think of the film, and I think they did a really good job with that. And part of the reason is because Gore Verbinski decided, you know what, let's just make a fun movie. And I'm glad that he decided to go in that direction, because this movie works very well as just a very fun film. And I had such a blast watching this movie because of that. I mean, there's so many different things throughout the film. There's a little bit of comedy in there. There's a lot of action. There's a romance. There's even some horror elements, and I think they all were honestly blended well seamlessly, and I think Verbinski really did a good job with balancing it all. I mean, honestly, I think this easily could have been something where the film was scattered and all over the place, but it felt very controlled. It felt like it made sense why the romance was there. It made sense why the action was there, and it made sense why the horror element was there. Nothing felt out of place to me. I thought the directing as a whole, I was very, very impressed with. And the laughs, this movie is honestly really hilarious. I was laughing a lot throughout, particularly things that Jack would say. I mean, Johnny Depp just nails that role so well, and anytime he says something, most times I was on the floor laughing. I mean, he was absolutely hilarious, and I thought like I said, that stuff was definitely very well portrayed. But what I also loved about the movie, like I said, and now we're getting more into the screenplay here, the screenplay is really well done. One of the reasons is because the movie really keeps it simple. It's not too hard to understand. It's a very simple premise overall, and the movie just kind of builds from it. And I thought there was something that was very well executed, is the way the screenplay is really handled here. I think the story in general, I was really interested in. I never really felt like it got too convoluted, and I heard that's the problem with the other films. As they go on, they get more and more convoluted, and I can definitely see that, because there are a lot of story elements to this movie, but it's not to the point where it can get convoluted. Like, there's a scene where Barbossa is explaining his past to Elizabeth and showing how she's connected to it all, and rather than it overcomplicate things, it just makes things a lot more interesting. I think they did a really good job with the screenplay, keeping it about, Jack trying to reclaim his ship and also them trying to lift this curse. It doesn't try to go any other direction, and I'm glad they didn't do that. But they do try to take this story seriously. Despite the fact that it is very fun, they do try to take it seriously, and I thought that worked very well too. I thought overall I was very impressed with the way the screenplay was done, and really my only complaints when it comes to screenplay, like I said, is that I think as good as Elizabeth and Will were, they are the least interesting characters. I did find them to be not as interesting as the other characters, but I definitely did find myself getting wrapped up in their story, and I don't have the complaint where, oh, they're just boring. I didn't find them to be boring characters at all, and I thought overall the story was very interesting, and I really was into it throughout the whole film, and especially when you find out why the curse is going on, I thought, again, that was very well portrayed. But the cinematography here, holy shit, the cinematography. I mean, this movie would not be as good as it is if it didn't have the amazing cinematography. It's one of Disney's most profitable franchises for a reason, and the fact that this is a Disney movie is insane, especially at the time. Yes, now Disney, they own like 1,000 companies, like they have Avengers, they have Star Wars. Guys, back in 2003, Disney was not known for this kind of stuff. They were known for really lighthearted animated films, and they were known for really bad live action films. This is really where Disney was at in 2003. Pirates of the Caribbean, I think, really did show what they were capable of, and really did show that they could go into a more darker direction and have these elaborate set pieces, and that's a lot of what this movie is. These just incredible sets, and the sets in this movie are just stunning. And I know I've said this for many movies before, but this is honestly one of those films where you can watch it with the sound off, and it's perfect. I mean, it's a great film to, like, show off your TV. The Black Pearl looked amazing. Just the water in general, I mean, looked just gorgeous. It really did, and I really don't think there's a single shot in this movie that they took for granted. All of the shots here are extremely well portrayed. It really did feel like 17th century England, and I thought that was extremely well done. Really into the movie because of cinematography, and the action in this movie as well is extremely riveting. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat through almost every action scene. There's so much going on, but it's not overcrowded. It's not like one of those, sort of like, it's not a Resident Evil, the final chapter. I haven't seen that film, but I've heard from many outside sources and reviewers and things like that, that is a film that gets very overcrowded. And that's something that we see a lot. It's not like a Transformers where you can't see what the hell is going on. You can very well see what the hell is going on, but there is a lot happening. And the fight scenes go on for quite a long time, but they're never too long. I felt like, there's this one fight scene between Jack and Barbossa towards the end of the movie, and it's great because we've been setting up their hatred and their rivalry throughout the entire film. So to finally see them, finally battle it out, I thought made a lot of sense why they did that. I didn't think that it was overdrawn at all, and I thought, again, the cinematography was very well portrayed here. The score as well, I mean, everyone knows the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I mean, it's great. I mean, it doesn't get more epic than that score, and it perfectly sets the tone for the film. It's adventurous, it's fun, and it's not trying to be, like I said, anything too big. They're not trying to win Oscars here. They're just trying to make a very fun film, and that's something I was very happy about. And the editing as well. The movie is 2.5 hours long. Never felt the way me. Honestly, the movie felt no longer than an hour and 30 minutes. It really did fly by. There wasn't really a single scene that I would cut out, and that's something I was overall very impressed with when it came to this movie. There really was not a single scene I cut out. There really wasn't anything that I felt like they should remove. And in general, I was very impressed with the editing here. There really, like I said, was not a scene that I would leave out or anything like that. Overall, guys, I absolutely loved The Curse of the Black Pearl. I think it's a very fun, adventurous film. Some really compelling characters, but also has some really fun moments in there. And like I said, it really does have a little something for everyone. There's like horror, there's comedy, there's romance. I mean, it really is a great way to start off this franchise. It was supposed to be one film, but it did turn into a franchise. You can obviously see why, because of how successful this really was. I absolutely love The Curse of the Black Pearl, and I'm definitely going to give Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, a 4.75 out of 5, or an A. But anyways, guys, that's it for our review of The Curse of the Black Pearl. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie. You have seen, loved your thoughts on it. And again, big thank you to 22TigerDude here, who will be with me for every single review. Look forward to our next review of Dead Man's Chest over on his channel that should be up within the next couple of days. And I will see you guys in my next video. Not entirely sure what's going to be for yet, but I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.